fired from my fucking job. I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my job. I was just fired from my fucking job.
So y'all got me fired from my job, but at least I got streaming. But I know for a fact none of y'all would even pull up to my stream and say that to my face. Fuck it, I'm gonna go live later, man. Streaming. Y'all can't take me on my streaming platform, though.
Live by the sword, die by the sword. He did say that gun deaths were an acceptable side effect of gun rights.
I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational.
Thousands of people have gone online celebrating the passing of Charlie Kirk, and many of them are now losing their jobs. Many of the people you've seen cheering on the passing of Charlie Kirk started with this man who just moments after Charlie Kirk was struck, right in front of him, was cheering on video that Charlie Kirk was hit. Then you have this woman who was a nurse going on TikTok celebrating the passing of Charlie Kirk, and now people have found out where she works and are talking to her employers. This man who wrote this entire statement here is actually in the military, and people have already alerted Pete Hegseth, who is essentially this man's boss, and will probably be trying to do something about it. You have another woman who is a 2nd and 3rd grade teacher's aide who was posting about that she wished she would have heard of another obituary talking about Donald Trump, but instead she would settle for Charlie Kirk. And this man, probably the most prominent person to be fired after their comments on Charlie Kirk, was Matthew Dowd, who was actually working at MSNBC and went on air saying some absolutely terrible things. But more and more of these videos are coming out, and more of these people are going to be losing their jobs.
So America is learning the hard way. Mocking someone's death isn't just tasteless, it's costly. And across workplaces, from tech offices to retail counters, employees are being fired or blacklisted for making fun of the tragic passing of Charlie Kirk. And what does this reveal about the cancel culture, about free speech, and the price of cruelty in the digital age? Now, stay tuned, because this story is not what you think, and the consequences are far more deeper than a few lost jobs.
Bunch of folks out there whining and crying now because they done lost their job because of what they posted on social media, cheering about Charlie Kirk and all. Lost your job because of your opinion, exercising your amendment right. At least you weren't unallowed for it, right? Checkmate.
So the Carolina Panthers just fired their communications coordinator after he mocked the assassination of Charlie Kirk on his social media. His name is Charlie Rock, and hours after Kirk was killed, he allegedly posted a message that read, "Why are y'all sad? Your man said it was worth it," along with a photo of Charlie Kirk and even a Wu-Tang Clan song named Protect Ya Neck. Think about that. Someone in a high-profile position in the NFL openly mocking the death of a man who was just assassinated. That's not free speech. That's cruelty, and it crossed a line. As you can see, this situation has been revealing a lot about people. Now, the Panthers quickly released a statement saying they do not condone violence of any kind and that Rock was no longer employed with the team. And honestly, that's the right call. Because if we're going to move forward as a country, there has to be accountability when people celebrate or mock violence. This isn't about politics anymore. It's about basic humanity. Now, we can disagree on politics all day long, but celebrating violence, that's where the line gets drawn. And it looks like the Panthers drew it.
The national media is now getting fired for telling the truth, as Matthew Dowd has been fired from MSNBC after his comments about the death of Charlie Kirk. Now I'm going to show you his comments, and you let me know, is this something worthy of being fired for?
He's been one of the most divisive, especially divisive younger figures in this, who is constantly sort of pushing this sort of hate speech or sort of aimed at certain groups. And I always go back to hateful thoughts lead to hateful words, which then lead to hateful actions. And I think that's the environment we're in, that people just, you can't stop with these sort of awful thoughts you have and then saying these awful words and not expect awful actions to take place.
All I want to know is, please point me to the lie Matthew Dowd said about Charlie Kirk. Everything he said is the fucking truth. If you spread hate, you can't be surprised when that hate comes at your door eventually. And they fired this man for that opinion. That wasn't even a hot take. That was a lukewarm take. That's how you know national media is in the gutter. They will fire you just for telling the truth. So yeah, fuck MSNBC and fuck the national media. They're on some complete bullshit.
We are about to witness firsthand several people get fired for what they posted on social media yesterday. And as somebody who works in HR and manages this on the back end, let's talk about it. If you've ever followed me or looked at my page, I like to give people job tips. And one of my biggest job tips that somehow goes viral all the time with people disagreeing with it is that you are accountable for what you posted. If I can connect you to your company in any way, shape, or form, you are a representative of that company. It does not matter that I can do whatever I want in my free time. If I can connect you to your company, you are a representative of that company, which means that whatever actions you take are going to have the consequences that the company decides for your employment. Disagree with me all you want. That's how it works. We all know this. We have seen public outcry. We have seen people get fired for posting things that we all disagree with. And all it takes is a collective mindset of people to go in and say something to a company or give them proof. Here's the irony of this all. Yes, speech is free, but there are consequences to everything, and you need to weigh the risk. And the sad thing is, the people who were celebrating yesterday, who are going to be fired this week, next week, they did not weigh the risk. And I will keep repeating this over and over and over and over again. Your actions have consequences.
Important PSA about this Charlie Kirk thing if you are not an American citizen. So this was just posted by the Deputy Secretary of State, and he says that if you are a foreigner and you make a social media post that praises, makes light of, or rationalizes what happened to Kirk, they're going to prevent you from visiting the USA. And it's that rationalizing bit that I find particularly troubling, because that could basically be anything. And I know you're like, well, I'm not going to visit America while Trump is president. Yeah, sure, but if you get blacklisted, even after Trump is gone, that doesn't mean you'll get off the blacklist. Because it's not like there's going to be a note that says, blacklisted because he was mean to Charlie Kirk. It's just going to be blacklisted, end of story. And don't get me wrong, I am very much against this. This is all very lèse-majesté as far as I'm concerned. You know, those places where it's a crime to defame the king. And I am a firm believer in the First Amendment. But the people in charge right now aren't. They don't even think it should extend to American citizens if they disagree with them, let alone foreigners. And I'm not telling you not to make whatever video you want. Just like, be aware that the people in charge right now are looking for people to blacklist. And some right-wing griefers out there can think of nothing funnier than stopping you from ever going to Disney World because of an Instagram post you made that one time. So, just FYI.
In today's America, the line between private opinion and public accountability has blurred almost beyond recognition. Now, when news of Charlie Kirk's death broke, the internet responded with the usual extremes. Some mourned, some reflected, and others mocked. But what many didn't anticipate was just how quickly those mocking voices would face real-world consequences. Employers began scanning social media feeds. HR departments received screenshots, and workers were suddenly called into meetings they could never forget. Now, termination notices were signed not because of poor performance, but because of a few words typed in jest about a man whose death has polarized a nation. This isn't just about Charlie Kirk, it's about the new reality of digital footprints, where every post lives forever and every reaction can be weaponized. So, Americans who thought they were simply sharing dark humor discovered instead that their online behavior could destroy livelihoods. And some argue that this is justice, that cruelty deserves punishment, and others claim it is overreach, an erosion of free speech, and a chilling reminder that personal expression is no longer personal. But the deeper question is this: are we creating a culture of accountability or a culture of fear? Now, when the cost of one tweet is your career, what does that simply say about the balance of power between corporations, individuals, and the court of public opinion? Now, for years, many dismissed cancel culture as a buzzword, but what is happening now is concrete and undeniable. People are not just losing followers, they are losing paychecks, reputations, and even futures. And while Charlie Kirk may have been a controversial figure in life, in death he has become a mirror reflecting America's fractured relationship with speech, with empathy, and consequences. Now, if mocking the dead can lead to unemployment, then every America must ask themselves, where is the line between freedom and responsibility? So this story is not just about politics, it's about survival in an age where one careless post can redefine your destiny.